Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. This is my final project presentation. My final project is called Road to Glory. The concept behind Road to Glory is to be able to connect intercollegiate athletics with the talent pool in Tanzania to begin with. There's already a huge market for scouts going overseas to recruit athletes in Russia and Africa to recruit distance runners. And we hope to be able to take that desire and put it in one event and gather the talent in one event, and that way make it cheaper for the scouts so they don't have to take multiple visits a year. And at the same time, we're offering these young kids an opportunity to not only get collegiate scholarship to participate in sports, but also get their education, and they can come back and help their communities with that education. And beyond that, the entire project also helps bring awareness to the area and can potentially spread to the entire region of East Africa, or perhaps the entire region of Africa in the future. When thinking about the feasibility of the project, as I just discussed, the NCAA athletics, they spend millions and millions of dollars a year on recruiting itself. While the budget for how much you can pay athletes is limited, and while the budget for how much you can spend annually on traveling expenses and gear is limited, the budget for how much you can spend on recruiting is not limited by any rules or regulation by the NCAA. So schools spend millions a year on recruiting itself. And especially when having to travel overseas multiple times. For example, you travel to Tanzania one time, and then you travel to Kenya, and then you travel to East Africa, and you travel to West Africa. That just costs so much money. So to get all the talent at one place in one time limits those trips for the scouts. So I think that desire makes it feasible in terms of garnering attention from college athletics and perhaps getting funding in the future. And in Thai, I think the project is mainly possible because of its mutual beneficiality to both parties. It benefits the community, and it benefits the college athletic teams, and it benefits me as I get to fulfill my desire of helping Tanzania and Africa. So the SWOT, S-W-O-T, the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats of this project. Well, the strength lies in what I just said, that it offers a great opportunity for all parties involved. The risk is limited for the college. The risk is limited for the athletes, as they merely have to display their skills and be good students. And the risk is partially most taken on the willingness to fund the project and go out there and find the athletes. The weakness lies in the dependency this project has on the athlete's performance. This project is really dependent on how the athlete does on the day and how many scholarships come out of that two-day event. Because if zero scholarships come out of it, then it is very unlikely that anybody will be interested in coming up the next year, not only to visit from America, but also if any athletes will be interested in training for the event if they see that no schools offer anything. The opportunity of this project, I really think that there's a big potential for future growth. It may take a couple years to get up and running, but if you start in Tanzania and in the first year you have 2 kids perhaps get a full scholarship, and you have maybe 4 kids get partial scholarships to college, I think that would not only show the colleges that there's plenty of talent, and especially if those kids succeed in America, but also it will show the kids in Tanzania that, that working hard and training can lead to something better, or can lead to an education, in fact. And if you can create both those dynamics, I think you could perhaps start by expanding to East Africa, where you include countries such as Kenya, where you have plenty of running academies, but not the same way of recruiting connection to those. That's not how those academies work. And then beyond East Africa, you can then try to include South Africa And I also think that you can also expand beyond just being track focused, as you'll see several of the events I've included can measure potential in different areas. So I think there's a real potential for growth in the future. The threat in such an event. Well, the threat is really the lack of annual talent, weather, and a limited budget. If there's no talent annually coming out of there, and if they're not succeeding in their transformation to the NCAA and to collegiate training, that would really hurt the entire project. Weather on the given day can really hurt performance, and as it's a performance-based project, that can really hurt it. And the limited budget, the budget as it is now, we start off with 16,000 in mind, and I believe that we will hit 15,000 after everything is done. But the budget is limited in terms of having the best facility for the athletes to display their skills, so that hurts them a bit. Okay, let's discuss the budget for a little bit. The budget, I started off by having a budget of actually 15,000, but then I set it out to 16,000. And then when I went through and looked up the cost for several of the things that I wanted, and I looked at them and what they would be here in America, and based my budget off that, because I knew once you started looking at those things in Tanzania, it would be a lot cheaper because of the exchange rate. So the total, after everything I added up, it came out to 15,000, and so I expanded the budget up to 16,000 just in case of any trivialities or anything came up. For the budget, we had about $5,000 for utilities, rental, which includes having rented the site, which will basically be a big plane of grass, which we will mow down. That's rental expenses, so we included that to be 3,000. That also includes speakers, microphones, starter gun, and local vans to drive the athletes to and from the event. And then personnel for the event, we said that would run about 2,000, and the only personnel that will be paid is the 3 judges who will only look at the running events, and the security staff. And we want that security staff to be pretty well manned, as this will be locals in Tanzania coming to the event, and many of them are reporters, so we want the concession stand to be well manned. Also, maintenance and repair, we said that would run us about $500. Advertising, I believe, would run us about $1,000. Food and concession, we'll spend $1,500 on that. Transportation, we estimated it would be about $500 for transportation for all the kids. And also flight tickets, not only for me but for a couple of staffers, were included. We thought that would be about $1,500. I've looked up tickets myself to Tanzania, to and from there. Living expenses while there, I have a house there. My family owns a business there with several houses and a hotel, so that's the idea I have for housing the athletes while there. Is you house them at the family place, and you house the judges there, so you cover those expenses in that way, and then you ask for those individuals to cover their own meals, and you also pay them adequately. So that is the budget. In terms of the event timeline, we will personally start 2 days before with preparing for the event. And on the day of the event, we'll start at 6 a.m. Watering the pitch, the grass, getting everything ready, turning the pits, and then the official kickoff of the event will be 11 a.m. At 11 a.m. we will have the 60-meter dash for the men and women, which will follow. At 11:30 we'll have the standing broad jump. Several of the same athletes will compete in both, so that's why the 30-meter space, but neither of those events are particularly taxing on your muscles. At 12 a.m. we'll have the 800-meter run. which is an hour removed from the 60-meter dash. So if some of those athletes want to participate in that. At 12:30, we'll have a fan sack race, and at the end of the meet, we'll have an award handed out to the first, second, and third place winners. And I thought including a fan sack race would be fun because not only are you telling the people in the local community to come watch and support these athletes as they pursue their dreams, but you're also giving them a chance to come and win awards and therefore willingness to sit there and watch and support these people. I think with something as new as this, you have to give these people some sort of incentive to show up. So I believe that's very important. At 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll have the 3K run, which will be followed by the standing high jump, which is basically not a high jump the way you think of it. It will be a bar raised incrementally, and the athletes will run and jump over the bar into the sand. It's almost the same as a vertical leap, but only the running approach helps you jump higher, and it's a good way to measure flexibility and vertical leap. At 2 o'clock, we'll have the overhead toss, which will be you take a 12-pound ball for the men and a 10-pound ball for the women, and you toss it over your head as far as possible. It's a good measure for overall strength and explosiveness. And at 14:30, we'll gather results and have an award ceremony, name a male and female athlete of the day, give the fan their awards, and give out some finishing statements, and thank the community for coming out. That will happen at 14:30. So overall, it's not a long day, and then following that, we'll begin the process of cleaning up everything. In terms of employees for this event, I've thought of having mainly using volunteers. The only employed staff will be the judges for the running event and the paid security staff. Other than that, for the concession stands and cleaning for the Potter Potties, I hope to have only volunteers. The idea I have in mind is you have volunteers from perhaps colleges in America where you also offer them a chance to come stay there for free and get a free safari while they're there. And in return, they pay their own ticket and help out the event for 3 days while they're there, and they get to stay a whole week in the free safari. I thought that would be a good deal, and it doesn't cost much in terms of housing if they pay for their own food. Also, we will seek out the local church community and in general the local community for employees and volunteers. So lastly, sponsorships and funding. Most of the funding for this event, I thought of you go approach people as a fundraising opportunity. They get to sponsor an individual kid's road to glory. You approach it in that way, so they're not perhaps funding the event as a whole, but rather they're funding one kid that we have found, and we present that kid, and they're funding that individual's way to the event, stay and such, and use that money to fund the entire event, and then you take care of the kids out of that budget. I thought that was perhaps a good idea to raise money for the event. Secondly, I would put some money into it myself through a loan. And lastly, just general seeking out donors and charities at the beginning, and as it grows in the future, you could then start to include sponsorships, or perhaps start seeking out funding from colleges, however that works with NCAA regulations. Perhaps they can start funding the event annually. That's what we hope for, indeed. In general, I really enjoyed doing this project because it's something that I really am passionate about. I want to be able to make something that these kids have to work for themselves, but also at the same time helps the community and gives them a chance to get out of those neighborhoods. And I myself got out of a situation in the past, coming from Africa and Tanzania. I myself got out of there through sports. So I know it can help people grow, and it can help people better their lives, and you can go back and help a whole community. And people have seen me move on from there, and now they're motivated to to grow and pursue education. So that's really why I was driven to do this project. And I hope you guys will genuinely critique it and give me some good feedback. And if you guys do think it's feasible, I appreciate some info on that, or what makes it not feasible, perhaps. I appreciate all the input I can get. So thank you, and it's been a real fun class. And I hope everyone's enjoying their weekend. Have a blessed day.